Culture Club is brought to you by Tropical Ice.
So this poem's called Perspective. I've always walked with giants. My whole life was spent looking up and knowing that I was an ant scaling trees. You can do two things with this knowledge. Live your life in fear of your own insignificance, or revel in the small space in which you exist. To know the world doesn't revolve around you is humbling. Suddenly your worries become trifling, the weight on your shoulders bearable. To be small is to realize how big the world is, to want to explore the unknown, to climb every mountain, descend every valley. Understand that your life isn't the movie, but a mere scene in the greatest story. What will you do with your time? How will you contribute to the tale? Live life in the realization that this world is vast and you, thankfully, are not. My name is Pavin Blas. I'm from Manilao. I work at Teedson High School as a English teacher for mostly sophomores. So it's called Perspective, and it's kind of basically about that. It's about my perspective and how that has changed over time. I really thought about it when I traveled to the States with my family and we went to go see the sequoia trees over in California. And there were just these like huge trees that have existed for like 500 years, and looking at them, I couldn't help but feel like really small. I felt like I was in kindergarten or something, and just like looking at all the tall kids and all the upper classes, and it's like, my whole life, 26 years compared to the 800 to 1,000 years this tree has been around. It's like, what do I matter in that small bit? But at the same time, it's like knowing how short life is and how limited of a time you have. It offers that kind of freedom where you can't be afraid to do the things that you want to do, and you have to exist in that small space. I was a really quiet kid growing up. I had been diagnosed with attention deficit disorder, but I wasn't very talkative. It was just more of, I was on the side just observing everything. And for the longest time, I really didn't know what to do with all these things that I was observing. And then when I got into college, I found English and I found writing, and it just became an outlet for me. And I started off writing these really short stories, but I found that my mind would keep drifting to all these random thoughts that I couldn't really put into a really cohesive narrative. So poetry just seemed like kind of the logical step to go from there. Pretty much anything that kind of comes to me at the moment. A lot of it revolves around nature. A lot of it revolves around how I relate to nature. Things come and go pretty fast. My train of thought gets lost really, really fast. So I tend to just keep everything on my cell phone. And anytime I have a thought throughout the day, I'll just take it down in my notes. And then when I go home, I'll kind of sit down and kind of just unpack like random sentences that I write. And sometimes it turns into pieces. Sometimes it just stays there for a little bit. Sometimes I'll come back a month or two later, and whatever happens, happens. I would just say don't try and follow anyone's template, man. It's just writing is a very personal thing. It's a very personal experience. Some people can write for 30 minutes a day. Some people can write for 5 minutes a day. Sometimes you're like me, and sometimes you just don't write for months, and then it hits you, and then you gotta write. So you just gotta go with your own pace and find your own flow, and don't let anything dictate you. It's what you feel. If you want to read any of my poems, you can go ahead and check out my Instagram page, Burn Before Reading. I post as frequently as I can, and I'm trying to get better at it. But that's about it for now. It's all still growing, and it's all kind of still in that process of developing. I'm very early on in my journey as a writer, and I'm still kind of trying to find my voice. But I'm loving the experience of trying to find it right now.
Culture Club is brought to you by Tropical Ice.